from Australia to land down under than the airport, in a bunker, being a crisis actor. For Revolution Radio on Revolution.radio, I am a crisis actor, and you don't know. It's home to fresh ideas, which are completely controlled by the parasites, and there's nothing you can do about it, because they've got brain worms for all of us. Brain worms. Important message, though, to everybody. And this is Listener Funded Radio, so if you like to have a brain worm, donate. Donate all you can. All of it. Better than giving it to the evangelists, trust me. Any currency is good, by the way, including crypto. Now, if you can't donate, that's cool. You can still get a brain worm. It's okay. But you can tell people about the station so they can get brain worms. That's right. There's a brain worm for everyone. Today is the 16th of May, 2024. All hail Raglor, Lord of the Wastelands and Emperor of the Brainworms. And transmission. You can catch the cave on the air, on the line, all the time, and on your smart device. So grab an app to listen anywhere or listen at home on a Grace tabletop digital radio. But it doesn't come with a brain worm. That's the only thing. Archives are free. Archive is like a brain worm. Only more fun. Okay, so just go ahead. And now there's going to be a brain worm free zone, where we would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land from which we broadcast. And for Dave,
it's the Dark and John.
Thank you, sir. For myself, of course, to the Dark people, and we would like to pay our respects to elders past, present, and future. Thank you very much. Brainworms, Dave, is the only explanation I have for what's going on in the world. Everybody now has brainworms. It's just how it is.
When you the moment you said wasteland, all I heard in my head was, "Just walk away, eat the gasoline." That's all I heard in my head.
I know, right? We are so scarred. We are a scarred generation, Dave.
Trust
what we
me,
are.
yeah.
And none of them.
Honest, Mickey, you're right. There must be something that is causing all of the crazy. Look, hey, when MH370 disappeared, I said aliens aren't off the table. That's what I said. So you can have the brainworms. You didn't fight me on that one. I'm not fighting you on this one. That's all.
Well, okay. It's
sure.
I don't even know what to say anymore in these funny old times. There's all manner of craziness. What was it? I was listening to someone talk. I think it was the yeah, that's right. It was a representative for the Palestinians. That's right. And
how did that go?
No, sorry, I lied to you. This was Ukrainian. I lied to you.
Okay.
It's Ukrainian defense minister. That's who it was, and he said World War III has already started.
That's right.
And if you don't stop Putin now, he actually said that, and this was on the BBC or ABC or something.
Yeah, I saw that.
And he actually said that. He said, "Yeah, World War III it's already started. I mean, you decide how long it goes for now. You can stop him here.
Yeah.
Why you just wait till he invades everybody else?" And that's really the thing, right? So if it came to a war, which it might, like a wider spread war, let's say for argument's sake, that's feasible, and it's feasible because the main protagonists in that war, the main participants, the combatants, as it were, in that theater of war, would all be players with a nuclear arsenal, which means, of course, that nobody will use any nukes. Except maybe some tactical nukes here and there, but there'll be no strategic nuclear weapons for sure. Because you just can't. And now it looks like he's just wearing Ukraine down. He's just got more people that can die. Yeah, whoever has the most people wins. Because we can just throw them in the way of all the bullets. You can't make the bullets fast enough for our people to
Meat
stop.
waves. That's it.
That's what it is. It is like.
Have you seen
like
the turtle tanks?
Yeah.
The turtle tanks have been made by Russia to attempt to outplay the drones, the FPV drones, and you know what? That's kind of good, but they can't rotate the turret on the tank anymore.
Mhm.
Bit of a drawback.
I know, right?
Do you know what I'm saying? The tank
hear ya.
has a unique design. It's not the World War One tank anymore, and for that matter, it's not the World War Two American tank.
Yeah.
These are, quite good, devices of their time, but a swiveling turret is one of the things. That otherwise you're just pushing a howitzer around. Do you know what I mean? Right? With lots of shielding.
Right. That'll do.
Yes.
But look, that's the truth, and these fairly cheap drones can cause some serious damage.
They're not
to a war
shaped
machine like
charges.
that.
They can make that turret fly up in the air 30 meters. I've seen that happen. But Becky, you know what? It's funny that you say that, the Ukraine defense minister talking about that, because I did send you a video on this, and Annie Jacobson has put a book out and she's doing the rounds. And what she's written in her book is 2/3 of the world's population is destroyed in 60 minutes in a nuclear conflict.
That's about right.
Yep, it's about right. Where, you have like 100-mile radius of some crazy weapons, thousands of them, at least 1,000 on the US and 1,000 on whoever is attacking the US, and it just vaporizes most people. And she quotes one of a really interesting point. She quotes I forget who says it, but I think it was one of the guys that wired up the first nuclear bomb, the first test, and he says that the living will envy the dead.
Yeah. I know we discussed this the other day.
Yeah, we did.
Right?
But she also says 2 places in the world, best places to be, Australia and New Zealand.
Because of the ocean currents and the wind currents. Look, because
the Northern Hemisphere would be an ice cube, she says, right?
Yeah, it'll be Northern Hemisphere war, for all intents and purposes, because there are just no, or not many good targets in the Southern Hemisphere, and that's a good thing. Just want to be clear on that. Maybe stay away from the major cities. Right? Yeah. Well, when it starts, then get out of the major cities is my advice. If you want to survive
immediately.
I mean, make sure you're get your tank of gas full and all that. Get your
you have less than
supplies. Just get as far. Get some something between you and the blasts. Mountains is good. But ultimately, though, it could be another event where we crawl out of the ashes, and then for 10,000 years we forget everything that happened before, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the funny thing is, though, unless it's a direct hit, the pyramids will still be there.
Mm-hmm.
and the Inca and Maya ruins most likely as well, right?
And then we can claim we built them.
Yeah, no, I built them. I don't know what you did.
I watched you build them.
I did it on Saturday. Easy.
Mm-hmm.
I got tools.
You go. What tools? Oh, it was a while ago. I've lost them.
What's the copper?
I have to go down to Bunnings and buy some more.
That's right. The Bunnings, the holy grail of tools. No, it's we are deteriorating as a species. Very, very quickly. And
we're not at our prime anymore, are we, Mackie?
You know what? I wish I could say we were, but honestly, I mean, I don't even know where I put the prime now. Looking at human history, it's hard. It's really hard to say if we were ever in a state where you'd say, "Hey, this is awesome," right? Maybe, but then you've got, of course, the
there were so many other things. Yeah, that's right.
Well,
when was the Gantt chart the thinnest?
I think I honestly think that probably, now notwithstanding there was no penicillin and no indoor plumbing, but the years
Wow, you're going way back.
40, well, yeah, I want to say from 1400 to maybe 1800.
Some
Even
people
though
might call those the Dark Ages.
well, but were they? I mean, it really depends where you were in the world, right? Maybe the Renaissance period wouldn't be bad. I mean, it's really, I mean, certainly not the Roman Empire. Nobody had a good time in the Roman Empire, not even the Romans, right? So I probably wouldn't say that. I mean, the Persians, it's really tough, Dave. To pinpoint a time. I mean, it depends what your complexion is as well, right? I mean,
that's the truth.
If you're European and white, a really nice time would have been, I reckon, just before World War One in the 1880s, 1890s. That'd be a good time for if you're a white person, right? If you are of dark complexion, it might have been during the time when the Moors ruled Spain. The 15th, 16th, 17th century, right? That might have been a good time. There was a fairly large empire that was run by Africans, going, stretching all the way into Europe and Northern Africa. But
so you could argue pre-electricity.
Well, you could. But if you want electricity, it's the late 19th, early 20th century, right? Before the World Wars. Maybe just after World War II. Again, depends. America would have been good, mostly. Other places weren't too bad.
I did like the inspiration we had to do it right this time.
Yeah,
post
there was a lot
World War
of it.
II. Yeah,
the horror of World War II did a lot of good for people's minds.
Totally, it echoed for decades.
Yeah, after World War II. First of all, you had a really great presidents in the United States, because in the UK, what came out of World War II was national health care, believe it or not. After World War II, the English or the British instituted national health care. So that's going to this day, right? But again, you will find many places on the planet, no matter which time you pick, that wouldn't have been very nice for a whole bunch of people.
Not as a collective of humanity did we all enjoy the same level of anything at any time.
No, no. People talk about a golden age. Look, we all like to believe that existed at some point. Did it? I don't know. I know this isn't it.
Well, your example is perfect. It isn't that everyone enjoyed it. It's only a selective few that enjoyed something good.
Yeah. I mean, people always talk about Athens inventing democracy. It's a complete book. It's nonsense. The Athenians did not. Well, they didn't. The people that could vote in Athens were men over the age of 30 that owned land and had been in the army and actively served. That's who could vote and participate in political life. That's a fairly small chunk of so 50% women already eliminated. You can't. Anyone under the age of 30 who doesn't own land, who hasn't served in the army, you can't vote. Any foreigners, you can't vote. And any slaves, or obviously slaves can't vote. But so it's really only a small chunk of the population that participated in political discourse in the Athenian city, right?
I'm sure that I could pick a day somewhere between, I don't know, the 80s and 2000 when there was at least no war somewhere in the world. Oh no, I couldn't.
No, there has to be. No, it's actually a fair point. When in the history of us has there been a week, a day, a year without war? And again, no war doesn't mean everybody's hunky-dory.
Yeah, that's right.
Just means no one is fighting at that particular moment.
Or they're planning a war, or they're planning an uprising, or there's another coup, right?
I don't think we ever had that, Dave.
That's my point. And I think struggling to find a single day at least while I've been alive, where there hasn't been something going on.
Even in history, there,
Yeah.
on planet Earth, there has never been a peaceful day. I don't think ever.
Armistice Day? No,
No.
I was joking.
Yeah,
So that's a song by Midnight Oil. So look, if I have to, if someone had a gun to my head, well, just choose a day, choose when. I would say probably while it wasn't good, and we didn't have all the things we enjoy today, the simpler way of life, possibly involving Newtonian physics only. Yeah.
No, I want to go back to Aristotle. What? What's wrong with that?
Oh, all right. I'll beat you then.
The sun is the center of the universe.
That's right. The sun's the center, right? That's it. Yeah. Were we happy? Well, we could very well have been if we didn't. Oh, that's right. That's when you ban all science, right?
Actually, honestly, there's a lot of truth in the saying that ignorance is bliss. It really is. The more you know, I don't care what it is that you know, but the more you know, the more miserable you are. The more you understand the world, the more you understand the history, the more you understand the connections, the more you understand of what is actually going on, the more miserable
you're reading from my diary now, aren't you? Is that what you're doing?
That's
good grief. And look, I think, Mackie, to be honest with you, that the audience knows this. They're in our Venn diagram. So I've only got one more example to say, and I've hit a trio. I've had Gantt chart and Venn diagram already.
Bing, bing, bing.
Yeah. We'll solve it with some agile. So we'll have some scrums. So for you, Mackie, like when do you think you would like to live at some, like with whatever level of tech that they had at the time? Can't take it back with you. If you had a time machine right now, what would you do?
Time machine. Oh, that's a tough
one use only. Single use only.
One use only.
Yeah.
One use only. Oh, jeez. Okay.
You turn the dial, you jump into it, and whoop, there you go, you're there, right?
But I can't go back. I can't come back. Is what you're saying to me?
That's true. So I'm just trying to nail you to a decision.
No, I'm with you.
It could be a place and a time.
No, I understand. I get it. All right, I would go back. Now, having said that, I would only really do that at the end of my life. Once I'm on, just a croak away from breathing my last breath, because I can't come back. I would go 20,000 years into the past, and I would go probably place-wise. I'd probably go to North America, the plains, or the coastline.
Nice. Yep.
Just to see, because it is before the end of the last ice age. In fact, it's during the height of the last ice age, and any ice age civilizations should be in full swing. And there's a lot of activity on the ground in North America. We found a lot of stuff there. You remember the show we did on really ancient artifacts? Totally. Ancient, right? So, I think 20,000 years should do it, but maybe even further. But I think that'd be a good place. I don't really have any interest in seeing anyone historical, because even people that you might admire from history, right, they're just going to disappoint you. They're just people, right? And you smell. You smell. I don't like it.
Just think about before sanitation, and they had chamber pots. The house would completely reek of urine. Have you ever been around an unflushed toilet? Like an unflushed one?
Yes.
It's awful.
It's not good.
No.
It's not your first choice of smell.
No. And in England, the reason why all of the cobblestone streets had a valley in the middle of them was to take all their waste away. It rained so often, and you would just empty your chamber pot out the window down onto the street.
Out the window.
And a chamber pot, for those people who don't know, is just a ceramic bowl that you had beneath the bed, and you go to the toilet in that. That's it. Yeah, good, thank you. No.
Yeah, oh yeah.
No, not for me. Not really. No. I think desert island life, Becky, where fishing's your thing, and there's really nothing that can. You're the apex predator, I suppose, and it's Groundhog Day, living on an island like that, right? Split up by some very interesting celebrations throughout the year. That would be okay. But if I had to go anywhere, I'd probably feel like Doc from Back to the Future. I think I'd want to go back to a time where
you want to be a steampunk. Is what you want.
Oh, yeah, I really do. But no, I think that if I wanted a time that had a mixture of things that I like today, but better frame of mind, I think the 50s for me in America. I would absolutely love that.
It was in many ways, but you don't want to be in the South. You want to be in the northern states.
No. It's Southern California for me, or Texas or something like that would be great.
It's really hard to. I mean, look. I read this novel once. Time travel was sort of central to his theme, not just time, but also dimensional travel. There was this one time traveler who had gotten stuck, and he couldn't leave, and they just, so the other people started the conversation. He goes, "Look, I'm looking for this place in the 1920s in New York, and this particular time, he couldn't find that place at the exact time. He'd been there once, but he could never find it. And when in his attempts to find it again, he got stuck on this planet which the novel revolved around. But I thought it was just interesting. Of course, I mean, if you're a time traveler, I guess, and even dimensional traveler, I guess at that point, you find this perfect place, let's say, and then you have to go, or whatever happens, and then you go out and find it. But in the multitude of potential existences, right? And the almost infinite timelines that might exist, it's virtually impossible to find that. But you know what I find comforting though? I mean, from the perspective of the time traveler, he found it. He knew that the place that he longed for actually existed, and he spent some time there. Now think about that for a second. That's an extremely comforting thought, that the place where you feel most at home and where you feel most at ease, and you think this is my place, actually exists. I think that's brilliant, to have found a place like that, right? It's like the dream I told you about, Dave. I remember that I had this really vivid dream where I was running through, anyways, I came finally, I got out of the building, and I came into this sunlit place, like a rural looking place, with a couple of workmen across the road, which had really funny balloon but stripy heads. Like the truck they had was it was really strange, but it felt like home. It felt the sun on my face, the smell, everything. And the thing is, it was a full sensory experience. Now, you're not meant to have that in a dream, right?
Yeah, that's right.
There's some senses, people say, that you just don't have in a dream. But I can tell you, that dream, I smelled the air, and I felt the gravity, and I felt the sun, and the air, and everything was perfect. And I thought, oh my God, I'm home. That's what I was thinking.
I got my eyes closed, and I'm imagining the same items. Yeah, totally. Yeah. Yes, I get it.
It was, an astonishing feeling, and I still remember it. I mean, it's years ago, right? But I still remember it. Anyway, point is, finding a time and place I think, would be really hard. I would like to have the ability to time and dimensional travel. That would be brilliant. But I would like to come back. I would like to understand that there's an anchor point I could come back to. Because exploration is fun, right? Even if it's dangerous, it's still fun and interesting. But it becomes catastrophic when you can't come back. And sorry to jump, Dave, but I think about the 411 people, right? And there was this one case. I mean, there were a lot of strange cases, but this one case of a hunter. He went hunting with his buddies, and they'd been hunting in this area their whole life. So 3 buddies. They had established a camp, and it turns out the one guy had either forgotten or lost. I think they were going in with donkeys, and the donkey had thrown some of his gear, I think, from memory. Anyway, he lost some of his gear, right? So rather than going all the way back to town, they had a cache of equipment that they had left. So he made it from base camp. He started making a hike. It wasn't much of a hike, and all that. And that was the last time he was seen alive. And they combed the area, and it's not that huge an area, and it's also fairly easy to certainly from the air, it's fairly easy to search. And they found his stuff, like neatly stacked. His shoes were neatly stacked, next to a tree, I think. They found a whole bunch of others. But then it was impossible for him to go on foot, because he would have had to go over very sharp gravel fields, like rock debris and such. That would have cut his feet to ribbons in moments without shoes. Nonetheless, he traveled across it for several miles, and they found his backpack within sight of a farmhouse. But the point is, if he put his backpack down next to the tree, then he would have seen the farmhouse. But he didn't obviously go for help, and that's where they found his bones as well. So I wonder if some of these 411 is missing people. Some of these cases where people are missing, I wonder if they don't fall into gaps, and we discussed this, I know, or holes or rips in time and space, and they can't come back. But sometimes items come back, because the items sort of snap back, like as if they're on a rubber band. They just snap back into our reality, whereas the person is sort of stuck there maybe until they're dead, and then their bones snap back into our reality, or our time, as it were. And that's the thing, right? I don't know if they do any radiocarbon dating. See, let's get David Politis back on.
Yep.
And ask him if they've ever done any radiocarbon dating on the bones of the people they found. Because
that's to see if there's a determination of a time discrepancy.
Well, if I'm right, and it doesn't have to be the only explanation, but if I'm right, and the living things don't snap back, and in fact organic things like that, they just travel through time naturally, as it were, as it passes, then the bones should be potentially very, very old. Or if you die, maybe your bones snap back, or your body snaps back into our reality, or our time, our world.
It's an interesting concept. I like it.
Well, I can't make any sense of it otherwise. I know hypothermia confuses you. I get that, right? But you don't carry a backpack for 5-6 miles, or even 10 miles across gravel barefoot if you've got hypothermia. You drop everything. You don't hold on to anything. You drop it all. Right? So it doesn't make sense, some of the things that have happened. But yeah, look again, it's 5 kinds of crazy.
Yeah, the shoes neatly is odd, because there was that abduction on the mountain where the guy's ATV was there, and all his clothes were neatly folded, and which is similar to someone committing suicide. You're going to jump off a bridge, for instance. People will find neatly folded shoes and stacked together parallel with the socks. People will for some reason do this. They feel like they're in control finally, right?
It is, in fact, you hit it on the head. I think it's the final act of control over my world.
Mm-hmm.
I decide to do this, but I choose how I leave this place, and this is how I choose to leave it. That's why suicides that don't have a note or any of those, I guess, tidying actions, getting your affairs in order and all that, I think suicides like that aren't actually suicide.
That's right.
So that's just my 10 cents. And
So
Epstein didn't kill
the
himself.
abduction I'm talking about, where the fellow was found after that, but the fishermen in the river on the other side of the mountain saw the light and a beam of light, and they kept quiet because there didn't seem to be any reason to talk about it. Just wow, that was really weird, and then it was all pieced together, and that was the same day that the fellow went missing.
Yeah.
So that kind of thing, I think it kind of all lends itself and joins together. I'll tell you, Mekki, Red Dwarf tackle a lot of these concepts, not the concepts that we've just spoken about, but rather, the time travel or time and space travel, not just time travel, and going somewhere and coming back to where you left from. Really important little concepts here and there. And we know that Janeway gets a headache when she starts thinking about time travel. From Star Trek, by the way. But yeah. So
I just found something really odd.
What's that?
You have to be kidding me.
What's that?
This can't be real. Okay, this is Scientific American.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. No. Okay. All right, here we go. Brainworms are more common than you think. Here's what doctors who've treated them say. Yes, it's possible to have a worm living in your brain. In fact, it's far more common than you might think, says Dr. David Hammer, a professor of global health and medicine at the Boston University School of Public Health, who also directs a travel clinic at Boston Medical Center. Brainworms became a topic of public fascination Wednesday, this is this week, after the New York Times reported that presidential candidate Robert F. Kennedy Jr. was mistakenly diagnosed with a brain tumor after scans picked up abnormalities that turned out to be caused by a worm that got into my brain and ate a portion of it and then died. He reportedly said in a 2012 deposition. And sorry, the story is from May 8, 2024 here. What? Excuse me. Over the course of his 30-year career, Hammer said that he has treated about 20 patients suffering from a condition called cysticercosis. Cysticercosis, a parasitic disease caused by T. solium, which accounts for the vast majority of brain worms requiring medical attention. RFK Jr.'s brainworm came to light after he experienced memory loss and mental fogginess, etc., etc., etc. There you go, Dave.
Well, okay. Look, I think there's a few brain worms that would go hungry in American politics. So
I think that might be true.
Yeah.
Yes.
I watched a video today of Pelosi giving a speech, but the audience that she was giving a speech to, it was astounding how off the mark she was.
Oh, okay.
Astounding. And the speaker basically just tore her a new one. And
wow.
Yeah, I'll send you the video after and we can dissect it another time, but my goodness, just gonna tell you that she's still angry that the 2016 election of Trump was hijacked?
It's a long time to carry a grudge.
Well, I think witch hunt is what I would go with it, but that's fine. So I was surprised to hear her still talking about that election being hijacked, but in the same breath claiming that their election was just fine, and that it's wrong to dismiss the other to dismiss the winner. But hang on, aren't you you just did the same thing for the prior election, right? It annoys me that that's what America's politics has come to. But the speaker of this, wearing a nice suit. I don't know where she was talking, but the audience and the people, I think she might have been a guest there. I don't know how, but because it seemed like the entire audience was in favour of the host of the place, not the guest. Anyway, a long story short, the host mentioned everything that pretty much Trump had ever said, and it goes completely against everything that Pelosi said in that same 3 minutes or something that she spoke for. It was a bit of word salad, and she didn't really say anything at all about anything. It just threw words out and you made the connections. So it's like listening to REM at a concert. They don't...
Purple! Burp!
That's right, Nurple. So it was very funny. It was poignant. I think it says everything. The guy I don't want to give it away. I'll see if I can find it before the show's up. Put it in the chat room. All right. But I'm just going to say this is where the point being made. This is where we're at. Politics has lost the plot.
In many ways. Oh, look. Independent politicians, I think you have a hard time finding. I did see something, oddly enough, this week in Australia, where a senator, in fact the youngest senator ever, she's of a Muslim background, broke ranks with Labour and said that Israel is committing a genocide.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, oh wow, it doesn't matter if you agree with her or not, but to have a belief strong enough and maybe even represent her community, as it were, right? Is I think that's a powerful statement for especially junior politicians. I think. No, I don't have to agree. You don't have to agree, but I absolutely applaud her for breaking rank and speaking maybe her conscience or her ethics or her mind. It doesn't really matter, right?
That's basically a conscience move. That's right.
Yeah,
and it's very seldomly done.
Very, very seldom. There's another thing that happened, and in Australia this week, and this is funny, Dave. Now, there was a book in a public library, a children's book, which described a same-sex couple having a child.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't know if they were gay or lesbian. I really don't know. But it was a same-sex couple, but it's a children's book, right? It wasn't making a point that it's a same-sex couple, but it just so happened that the parents of the child in the children's book happened to be same-sex. Mm-hmm. But it wasn't. That wasn't the point of the book necessarily, right? But there it was, and and the council is one of the largest council in Sydney. It's a massive council, right? And it's a very diverse population. I mean, extremely diverse. And they voted to remove the book from the library. Now, the government, the federal government, got wind of it and said, well, if you do that, we're gonna pull all funding for you, right? Because it's part of our curriculum. It's part of the things that we want people to read. Blah blah blah. Whatever. It doesn't really matter. But before I knew it, it became global news. I don't know if did you hear about it?
No.
Okay, yeah, no, this way. And then there was another vote taken, and they argued for like until midnight for 6-7 hours in the second vote which way they should go. Eventually, they agreed that the book could remain in the library, but in the not children's section, but I want to say not young adults, somewhere in between, right? So it's between child and young adult. Now, but there's
Japan,
there's a kicker
an
to the
archipelago.
story, of course, otherwise I wouldn't tell you. It's my council. I live in this council.
Oh no!
I live here. So if anybody that's listening to the show right now wonders what kind of Muppets live in that council area, it's me. I live here. I'm in that council area. It's Cumberland
I
Council.
live there. Yeah.
I live there. Right now, no, I didn't vote to have the book removed. I did not. But it is I. I live here. It is my council area. Like I said, it's one of the largest in Sydney. Extremely diverse. And by diverse, I mean both ethnically, religiously, racially, politically, in any way imaginable. It's
Any.
Yeah, that's right. But it's my it's my council area.
So you live on what's it called? That Deep Space Nine.
Deep Space Nine. That's me, baby. I'm on Deep Space Nine.
Well, yeah.
No, absolutely, 100%. But yeah, so that's where we that's where we are in Covenant Council, where we like to burn books. We want to, and apparently, this is the funny thing. Apparently, the book in its existence had been taken out once.
Only one person read it. Yeah.
One person read it, and I mean, I reckon you had to really go looking for it, in order to find it, because it's just not that easily found, I guess. I want to see if it's actually part of the Australian
curriculum.
Oh no. Let's see here. But you know that they also vandalized the statue, right? You heard about that, right?
No.
Oh, the statue of William Carruthers, who mutilated an Aboriginal man's body, was actually vandalized and sawn off at the ankles. But now it has actually been, or it will be, removed officially.
Wow.
It's all happening in Australia, brother. We don't have to look too far to.
We're 10 years behind everyone. Oh, when you cross over the Hawkesbury River, you go another 20 years in the past.
It's
it might be a joke.
Right. Well, it is nuts. But have you noticed? Nobody's getting attacked anymore with sharp objects.
Oh,
now
not
that
since
we
they
have the
passed
law.
the bill, Mickey. See.
If how fortuitous.
And look how well it's worked. That's what I'm going to say.
It's gold, right? It's gold.
I'm sure their news feeds had anything to do with a knife at all. What about the release of the new Ginsu set? No, not that one.
Shh. No, that's good. That's good knives.
They're good knives. That's right. We can't ban the knives. There's chefs everywhere. When you go to TAFE, you have to carry your tools, your working tools, with you to and from TAFE, and you usually have the checkered pants and a white kind of blousey kind of top. It is your chef's shirt and the checkered pants, and I've seen them before. I used to live near a TAFE, and then it was culinary TAFE, and I know my wife went a long time ago to one, and could you imagine that case that they have their knives in? I can imagine them getting hauled up by the police. What's in the thing? Knives. Aha! Hands on the vehicle.
I'm going fishing, brother.
Oh, I love those videos from Texas. So I know Florida, where it's legal to carry a weapon, a rifle or a shotgun, to go fishing because there's crocodiles.
Yeah.
I mean, alligators.
Oh, but in Texas, I think there are a lot of open carry permits.
Oh no, I meant Florida. So you're allowed to
Okay.
carry a weapon with your fishing rod as long as you're going to go fishing because you might encounter an alligator.
And you would. I was driving in Florida. We're going to Miami actually from well, where the hell? What's the place where Disney is? Orlando. From Orlando to Florida, and it's pretty flat. I mean, Florida is. I didn't realize how flat a country could be, but it's flat. Not only is it flat, but it's dotted with these, I guess, little water holes, like little, not lakes. Lakes,
Yeah,
like
that's
a
right.
pond. Like they're everywhere, right?
Yeah.
And truly, along the highway, which also is pretty straight, by the way, there are alligators by the side of the roads. Not millions of alligators, but every once in a while you see an alligator in the sun next to one of those ponds, and you go, okay, I dig it, I get it, and it's a thing. You're right. Look, and that makes perfect sense to me, right? To have a rifle in that case, you're fool not to carry one.
Well, there's there's an auditor that tests that. He just walks around with a fishing pole and a gun, and the amount of police that stop him is just off the charts funny.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. Look, no, I appreciate in America that people should audit their, the law enforcement for getting the rules right.
But how do we do it here? Look, in Australia, now that we have this, I guess, well, we always had a knife ban to some extent, right? And fair enough. But what if you do carry a knife because you're going fishing or you're going hunting or I mean, like I said before, I carry Leatherman tool, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Which has a knife in it as one of the tools. It's like a Swiss Army knife, except it's better. And if you're a computer technician, that's what you need. And I used to carry it in the field with me all the time, because I also carried a tiny set of screws, well, I guess screwdriver insets, that would allow you to open computers and hard drives, etc., because they've got very tiny and like hexagonal shaped screws, etc., etc. And that tool set allowed me to work on computers. I mean, it's a really dicey kind of thing. It's like a slippery slope that we're walking down here. I remember when I came to Australia, all the teachers in my school, mind I was in Toongabbie, right, which is out west here in Sydney. This is the late 80s. They all carried a in a leather pouch. They all wear shorts in summer. They all wore shorts and knee socks. It was like a uniform. Knee socks and shorts, and on their belt, they had like a little leather pouch with clearly had a knife or some kind of tool in it, right? That was just teachers. And so, but most older men that I came across here in Australia in those days carried a pocket knife on their belt, irrespective of whether or not they're tradesmen. It's just something that you have. I mean, who knows? You might need it, right? It's a useful tool. You want to cut a piece of sausage or a hunk of cheese, or maybe you want to peel off a bottle cap. I don't know. The point is, it's a useful tool, right? Not anymore. Now it's just it's a weapon of mass destruction, is what it is.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, considering who makes the rules. So it does disturb me, Meki. It disturbs me that there was an escalation of not nice knife, but just knife crime. To get a bill passed, and then suddenly, whoosh, nothing else. There's nothing around. No news, not an echo of it. We have some space weather coming this week. More X-class flares on the incoming sunspots. The exiting sunspot was the one that gave us the grief last week, but we didn't see much of it in the news. But it was causing radio communication. And the X-class flare we had yesterday was centered directly over the US and caused communication problems for radio signals. They're live for about 3 hours.
Mhm.
That was direct X-rays. I'm quite curious, Mackie, as you know, and I wonder how all these underground cities and everything that they built in the past that had 20,000 people living underground. What was the reason for them wanting to live underground? Well, you know what? If the sun goes crazy for any given length of time, we'll be underground.
Mm.
The only place to be safe. Because that lady I spoke about at the beginning of the show, who wrote the book, who's doing the circuit at the moment, she was saying that all of those nuclear explosions would affect the ozone so much that you wouldn't be able to be in direct sunlight.
That sounds about right, my friend.
Yeah, totally. And that means crops won't work. This is in the like northern hemisphere. It's not going to breach the southern hemisphere until the northern, maybe 2 decades later, when the northern hemisphere is getting sort of back to normal again. But we have an overproduction of food here, and the host of that show in the interview process said, I was in Australia the other day when we had the flares. When Iran attacked Israel, and he said World War III was trending on Twitter, and he goes, I'm in the right place. He was visiting Australia. I'm in the right place. If it all goes down, I'm going to be okay.
Really?
Yeah, and I keep thinking the 500 million that would hopefully still be left, but there would be more now, I suppose, like about 2 billion worldwide. Most of those in the northern hemisphere will end up not making it, but the southern hemisphere has a good number, possibly about that 500 million, I would suspect, in totality, and I think maybe we have just enough to survive. If you've only got an hour's warning, minimum, right? Minimum of an hour. You're not going to be able to get here. So if you're here, you're here. But getting here would be a complete challenge.
That's true. And it's as far as you can go anywhere on the planet.
Yeah,
away from everywhere. Really. I mean, the nearest. I guess, with the exception of New Zealand, it's and I guess Papua New Guinea, and depending on where you are in Australia, it's an 8-hour flight to most major population centers. Like I'm thinking in Asia now, right? It's a fair hike.
I wonder if the sea level would drop slightly.
It depends. If there's a nuclear winter, then probably yes. The answer is yes.
Could.
If there is no nuclear winter, then it could be the opposite, depending on it depends on where the nukes actually go off. Right. I mean, if they're near the ice caps, and they're melting, okay, right. But I look
vaporize a whole bunch of water.
Well, yeah, but it goes in the atmosphere
like
eventually.
Dickens. Yeah.
Eventually, it will come. Yeah, exactly. And it'd be warmer, right? It'd be colder, but then it will also be warmer. Nuclear winter, nuclear summer.
Mm-hmm.
It could be like Venus, greenhouse gases, and heat trapped in the atmosphere. Look, we don't know. We've never had a nuclear. We never had a nuclear global war that we know of. Maybe Mars did. It's certainly it won't be pleasant. Like I said, I think you said it earlier today that you really want to survive this, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
With the survivors envy the dead, honestly.
Well, I watched The Day After when I was young. It was an 80s movie.
Yeah, she spoke about that too.
And look, I was in my teens when that movie came out. Steve Guttenberg was in it. And
he's a star,
it was, yeah, I know, right? We do. And
look at the time.
I was quite affected by it, I'll be honest with you. was pretty horrendous. I mean, the movie was very good, but it was a horrendous story to it.
Apparently, it changed Reagan's mind.
Oh, look, I wouldn't be surprised. And there's the music, everyone. Thank you so much for sharing your time with us for this brief hour in what might be your morning or evening, maybe afternoon. Thank you so much for listening. Don't go anywhere. I'm sure something else awesome is coming up. This has been Platos Cave, coming to you from Australia for Revolution.radio. Most of all,